Okay, today I'm going to be talking about buying a used chainsaw. Um, some of the things I do before I buy a new chainsaw, and some of the things you should look for, some of the things you should avoid. The first thing I do is like if I'm contacting somebody off of a marketplace or something, I'm questioning them about it. I always ask questions, like, is this saw OEM? Is this saw, does it run good? Stuff like that. If they say stuff like, as far as I know, or uh, stuff like that, you kind of gives you kind of triggers a red flag for me. And when I go to look at a saw, I first visually inspect it. I want to make sure it doesn't have any numbers on it. Um, like somebody's put like a 1 or a 2 or a 3. That tells me that it's been used in a tree service or landscape business where they've numbered their saws. You kind of want to stay away from saws like that because they wore them out. And I always take tools with me when I go. That way I can inspect the saw. And when I first walk up to the saw and look at it, I visually inspect it. I always tell people, if you can afford it, buy a new saw. That way you get a warranty and all this. This is a saw. This is my saw. The saw is about 30 years old. You can always look down here, see when it was produced. But when I walk up to one, I'll check the chain brake. I'll check and make sure everything turns. I'll look and see how beat up the saw is. I'll flip the saw over and look on the bottom. You can tell this saw is leaking oil, which a lot of steels do, but you want to make sure it ain't coming. The case ain't busted or cracked or anything. And then I'll start taking stuff off, looking around at it. I'll take the filter off. I always carry a little light with me. That way you can look inside, see how dirty it is. You can do some research and figure out what kind of carburetors that each saw has on it. And you can inspect the saw this age is going to have, the rubber is going to be wearing out on them. The rubber components. Check your spark plug boot. And if the seller will let you, you always want to take the muffler off. Okay, with the muffler off, you want to look up inside at the piston. Just pull it over. The piston in this one is smooth. If you see any type of scoring or anything, unless you're buying it for a part saw, you definitely want to stay away from that. Now, a lot of sellers will not let you do that. But another way you can check compression is to pull it. You can tell this one's got good compression. Every saw should be able to support its weight by pulling the cord like that. And another place that I stay away from buying saws is at auctions, where you cannot test the saw or visually inspect it. Another thing I like to do is take the side cover off if the seller will let me. And that's one reason I stay away from auctions is, you know, they'll hold the saw up and you'll have to bid on it without, you know, seeing it. And I'm not saying always, but a lot of times the saw is there because it's got a problem. But I pull this side cover off. And look and make sure nothing's missing. Check the condition of your sprocket. Okay, after I've done all of that, inspected the saw, checked the anti-vibe, checked for aftermarket parts, checked the compression. Then I want to hear the saw run. I want to make sure the saw starts, the saw runs. And when the saw is running, you always want to turn it up on its side. And if the saw quits when you do that, that means you might have some bearing seals that have went bad. That's a sign of that. But and that's pretty much well what I do when I go to look for a new saw. And the most important thing is making sure that piston isn't scored. Make sure it's got compression. Unless you know you're buying, if you work on saws, you know you can fix a lot of these things fairly cheap. But if you're not able to fix saws, taking it to a place that works on saws, it's going to be very costly. And you know that's about it. Other than, you know, buy new if you can. So I'd like to thank everyone for watching.